All right, diving right in today, we're going to be looking at something super important, especially if you're prepping for the UPSC exams. And that is how effective are targeted conservation efforts?
Yeah.
Like, do they actually work in saving animal species?
Yeah, that's a huge question.
We've got a really interesting global study from PLOS Biology and some details about what's going on in India, all sourced from DTE.
Should be a fascinating deep dive.
Definitely. So let's figure out what impact-focused conservation actions are having and what India's been up to in this, vital area.
Well, right off the bat, when you look at the global picture, there's something really striking. This PLOS biology study found that almost like 99.3% of species that showed improvement on the IUCN Red List, that's the main global indicator of conservation status.
Right.
Well, since 1980, almost all of them benefited from conservation measures.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
And over 78% of species with growing populations, they've had active interventions. So you can really see the power of these targeted actions.
Yeah, for sure. And they highlight some really powerful examples in the study, right? Like the Iberian lynx.
Oh, yeah, an amazing turnaround.
They were critically endangered with just hundreds left. But then dedicated breeding programs, habitat management, their numbers, they've gone up significantly.
Really impressive.
Or the kakapo, that flightless parrot in New Zealand,
Hmm.
brought back from the brink through intensive monitoring and predator control.
It's a great story.
And then, incredibly, the European bison was actually reintroduced to the wild after being extinct there.
Remarkable.
I mean, for those of you studying environment and ecology for the UPSC, I think these global successes, they really show the potential for well-planned strategies.
Absolutely. It's inspiring to see these kinds of results. And when we look at India, there's a similar kind of focused approach. They've got this program, the Integrated Development of Wildlife Habitats, or IDWH, and it's still going strong. The goal is to really bolster the conservation of critically endangered species. They do that through captive breeding, habitat restoration, and a really important part, they get local communities involved too.
Oh, I see. So it's not just, top down.
Exactly. And this is directly relevant for your UPSC prep. It shows how structured the government's approach is.
Makes sense. So under that IDWH, India's got the species recovery program, right? They've got 22 species that they prioritize.
That's right.
And then there are those well-known initiatives like Project Tiger, way back in 73,
Yeah, a classic.
and Project Elephant in 92.
Still going strong.
Oh, and the development of wildlife habitat now includes these like crucial projects for dolphins and lions and even cheetahs. It's amazing.
It's really interesting when you look at the long-term successes. Like take Project Crocodile, that started after the Wildlife Protection Act. They've seen a huge recovery of the saltwater crocodile in Bhitarkanika. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
In 1975, there were only like 95.
Mm.
Now there's over 1,800.
Wow, that's amazing, from like almost nothing to thriving.
Right. It's a real conservation win, and it shows what sustained effort can do.
Absolutely. Then we've got the Sea Turtle Conservation Project, which has been focused on olive ridley turtles in Odisha since 1999.
Yeah, those guys need all the help they can get.
Definitely. And it's important to remember that they're vulnerable on the IUCN list and highly protected under Indian and international law.
Definitely things to keep in mind for those UPSC questions.
Absolutely. And then there's the Vulture Action Plan from 2020 to 2025.
Sure.
It's addressing the impact of that drug diclofenac.
Huh.
And there's actually a vulture conservation and breeding center up in Haryana, which shows a long-term commitment, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of long-term commitment and success, we have the Indian Rhino Vision 2020. They've had remarkable results.
Really?
The greater one-horned rhino population in Kaziranga is over 2,600 now.
Wow. That is amazing. So these focused long-term strategies, they're paying off.
They really are. And we're seeing proactive stuff happening at the state level, too. Like Maharashtra is coming up with a plan for pangolin conservation, which is crucial because they've got that Schedule I protection under the Wildlife Act.
Right. And we can't forget about Project Cheetah, reintroduction in Kuno National Park, and they even had the first wild birth in 75 years.
Yeah.
That's like a landmark.
A huge milestone.
So I guess the key takeaway here, especially for those UPSC preps out there, is that targeted conservation actually works.
No doubt about it.
We've seen it globally and in India with all these projects we're talking about, all sourced from DTE. Preventing extinctions, boosting populations. it's making a difference.
Yeah.
And understanding these programs, their aims, their successes, it's crucial for your environment and ecology studies.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder, what are the common threads in these successes? Because, often it's a mix of things like habitat protection, tackling specific threats like poaching or poisoning, and sometimes it's interventions like captive breeding.
That's a great point.
It makes you think, what new innovative approaches are we going to need to save other critically endangered species, especially with all the environmental changes happening?
That's a really good question, and it's something to think about. For more deep dives into all these important topics, especially for your UPSC preparation, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment if you have any queries.
We'd love to hear from you.
This is part of our daily series where we focus on UPSC Maine's current affairs, which, can be really helpful for prelims too. Our source today was DTE. And to leave you with a thought, considering all these amazing success stories, what new innovative approaches might be the key to conserving other critically endangered species in the face of all these environmental changes that are going on?
Let us know what you think.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.